Make Your Peace podcast is the Wynonna Earp fan podcast that digs deep into every episode, not only providing comprehensive recaps, but also delving into character relationships and motivations. Hosts Catherine and Laura take their time exploring all of the nooks and crannies of each action-packed episode, puzzling over and speculating on moments you may have missed. If you enjoy a good discussion of your favorite sci-fi show, then this podcast is definitely for you. You can find Make Your Peace podcast on Twitter at 4YE_MYP podcast, where you will find links to their latest episodes. Make Your Peace podcast. Dig a little deeper.
Hey everyone, welcome to Make Your Peace, a 4YE podcast about Wynonna Earp. I'm Catherine Meushaw.
And I'm Lara Hayes.
And today we'll be discussing Season 3, Episode 10, The Other Woman. And as per usual, a few notes before we get into it. First off, thanks to the folks at Earp Fiction Addiction Podcast for the commercial. It's been really fun using it ahead of our podcast. And secondly, thank you to everybody for the comments and sharing the podcast. Thank you to Wynonna Earp Germany for the awesome live tweet of our last podcast episode. That was a lot of fun. It's always fun to get like real-time comments and everything from people. So that was a blast. Thank you so much for doing it.
We loved it.
Yeah, it was fabulous. And yeah, just thank you everybody for like sharing the podcast. And it looks like we've picked up a couple new followers on Twitter. So thank you so much for following. We really appreciate it. And then with that, we've got, I know you've got a quick recap for us, and I'm really, really, really hoping you've got a Stefan.
I do. Stefan is back, you guys. Okay.
Yes!
So, bear with me. So, this episode has everything. Fire witches, body swaps, everybody's favorite succubus, severed demon arms, radioactive revenants, a fully faced Mercedes, and the impending threat of our very own love muffin Waverly Earp getting stoned for all eternity. Oh, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Delightful recap. Also,
it's good to be back.
You had to get the severed arm in early.
I did.
Because I know how much you love a severed limb.
I love a severed body part, and I'm so happy that it popped up so early.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I'm glad you got to talk about it first.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty fabulous. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
And so the title.
The title for this episode comes from the Lana Del Rey song of the same name. My first impression of it, I guess, like when the titles were first published, I certainly didn't see Kevin coming. I figured this episode would be love triangle focused.
Yeah.
And how delightful it is to be wrong.
Right?
Love it.
I'm pretty content with how it went, because the second you see something, it's like you have an episode titled "The Other Woman" and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this nonsense.
No, not really.
And I mean, I'd ask you, where do you want to start? However, I feel like we have to address the Anna Silk in the episode.
Let's address the Anna Silk in the episode. Yes, go. I'm there.
It was such a delight to see Anna Silk.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope she is back for the next couple of episodes as well. Just because she was kind of delightful. Her character was definitely interesting. And it was fun that she was, for those of you who don't know, she was named after the guy who runs the Wynonna Earp podcast Twitter, Kevin Batchelder. Sorry if I butchered your name, Kevin. And he is one half of the Tales of the Black Badge podcast. So if you guys are not really familiar with some of the fandom stuff, you should definitely check out the Twitter and stuff like that, which I think is just Wynonna Earp Pod. Not looked up things properly, sorry. It's just at Wynonna Earp Pod. So if you guys are unfamiliar with that podcast and stuff like that, check it out, and you can get to Kevin's Twitter that way. So, yeah. he got a character named after him, and it was Anna Silk. So how great is that?
That's really epic. That's like pinnacle of podcasting, I feel like, you know, like, yeah, that's incredible.
But anyway, so Anna Silk, I love her very much.
Yes.
And she was in a suit in the entire episode, so like.
She will. Okay, I want us to hang out on Kevin for a little while. So
yeah, we're gonna stay on Kevin
like,
for a while.
Good. Okay, good. So like, first thing, small thing, Kevin's line, times like these, I really wish I could force people to do things for their own good. That was totally a Bo callback, wasn't it?
Possibly?
Because Bo could, like, influence people and, like, bend them to their will just by, like, touching them. So, like, it's this first time I heard it, I was like, what? And then the second time I watched it, I was like, God, I really hope that that's about Bo.
I think that can be argued.
Okay, I'm taking it.
I mean, especially, we don't talk, I mean, we bring it up every so often, but there are arguably parallels between Lost Girl and Wynonna Earp.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, I think that can be argued that it was a nice callback. So, I'll give it to you. And I mean, we got, like I said, she's a fairly interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got introduced to a neutral party that helps to protect the balance. And we don't get a lot of the, like, we get plenty of gray areas in the show, but this is the first time we've been introduced to this particular type of power. So, I was excited about it.
Yeah, I didn't know how they wanted us to take her. I didn't know if we were supposed to believe that she was also an angel, because there's a little bit of, this is why I'm confused about it. Juan Carlo, in the beginning, is talking to Maeve, and he uses the word guardians.
Yeah.
Right? Like guardian angels. And then Kevin also uses that same word. I'm one of the guardians, like whatever. I watch the balance, whatever. And she also can't interfere, like Juan Carlo.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like, so I wasn't sure. I got an angel vibe from her, but they didn't actually use that specific language. I feel like that's not a totally, I mean, I don't know, you know, it could be something more like Anne Rice's Talamasca. They were an organization that I think Joss Whedon probably based the Watchers on a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But the Talamasca were, they were only watchers. Like, they only observed, they did not interfere, and they recorded everything.
Yeah.
And so Kevin was also kind of speaking from that sort of standpoint.
I mean, there's also a little bit of powers that be vibe, like, you know, angel power that be vibe. I do want to just throw out there. So I think when Juan Carlo was talking in the beginning, the Guardians I think he was talking about were definitely him and Julian. Like, I think...
Yes, I believe so also. I was only thrown because she used the same exact word.
She uses the word ambassadors.
Oh, well, don't listen to me, you guys. Why are you going by me?
I mean, no, normally I wouldn't, like... Okay, full disclosure for everybody listening, because I already told this to Lara. As y'all know, I like to transcribe things, because I'm an insane person.
You do.
And because a lot of Kevin's scenes were really important, and it made things easier for me, I transcribed, like, all of her scenes. So I do have the exact wording, just because it felt like it was important to kind of have some of the exact wording just in case it comes up later. You know, whether it be a theorizing purpose or a, this is what they said and it was wrong. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, she said I'm a representative in a long line of ambassadors, which is still an interesting word choice.
Yeah, it is.
Because she said, you know, a long line of ambassadors tasked with looking after the balance in the world. And then later, when Wynonna is telling Waverly what Kevin is, she says she's from a mysterious bunch of, and then Kevin cuts her off and says world savers. So it's interesting. I also found it interesting. We're presented Kevin as a neutral party, basically, you know, keeping a balance. So in theory, she's a neutral party. And I like to hone in on costume every so often. they put her in all black. And they even gave her a black rose on, like, the lapel. And I just thought that was interesting, considering if you have a new, like, you know, we've talked about this in traditional Westerns, you have black hats and white hats. So to put a character in all black, in a lot of media, but this traditional Westerns is where this kind of started, where it was like, oh, they're a bad guy. And black roses have, like, a hell of a lot of different symbolism. So, like, it could, you know, be some kind of a symbol, like, it could go as far as symbolizing death of something, of, like, a relationship or an idea, or it could also symbolize rebirth, or the beginning of something new. So, a lot of this presents a very interesting thing for this character.
I loved where your head's at. My head was in the exact same place. I'm going to double down on this black rose symbolism thing. You're right. Black roses are associated typically with death, mourning, but here's some cool trivia for you. Black Rose Books is the name of the Montreal anarchist publisher and small press imprint headed by the libertarian municipalist anarchist Demetrius Rossopoulos. I don't know how you say that last name. There's also a Black Rose Books in Sydney, and the Black Rose was the title of a respected journal of anarchist ideas published in Boston during the 1970s. Now, I'm not saying that the costume department intentionally made that choice, but the Black Rose is also associated with anarchy, and it's pretty cool in that context to see Kevin wearing one. Kevin, who has made it clear to us that she is going against the wishes of her employers, for lack of a better term.
I do appreciate it when we both jump on things like that.
Like it.
It's so great. Yeah, so thank you for that, because I didn't go that deep of a dive. I was just like, look at the costume! Yeah, thanks for that. That definitely, I mean, it's totally interesting, and it's like, we're taking a lot of what she's saying at face value and as truth.
Yes.
And one of the things I really do like is Wynonna, who is not new at this. She's not new at people screwing you over. She's not new at people hiding with things and everything like that. You know, lies of omission and stuff like that. So she pushes and pushes and pushes Kevin to find out what the cost is at the end of the episode. And I loved that so much. Because it was like a very Wynonna thing, but it was also like, when you present a character like Kevin, very often it's like, oh, well, this is all fine and dandy, and if you don't ask the right questions or don't push, you will get, you know, very vague answers, you know, because all she told them was, well, she'll save the world.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, first it was, the garden will be sealed. Then she'll save the world. And then it's like, okay, yeah, she'll lose her life.
Yeah.
So I like that. I thought, you know, and it's funny, it's like, it's kind of like when Zoe Palmer guest starred. It's like, did I like this character because of who is playing her, or because, like, but I do think, you know, you have that thought when you're, like, fawning over this character. But I'm pretty sure Kevin was a pretty good character. Kevin was, she was fun, and I think it was a good way to dump information, and a good way to really present Waverly as this champion. I think it was good.
Yeah, I think Kevin worked on multiple levels. I really enjoyed the character. Again, I don't know. I hope we find out more about beings like Kevin. I do think that Kevin is supernatural in some way. If Kevin is not an angel, Kevin is still somehow supernatural. That comment that she made about Eve, like when they were like, and don't forget about Eve or whatever, and she was like, oh, I wish I could forget about that girl.
Yeah.
It made it seem like Kevin was alive when Eve was alive, like Kevin knew her personally, and she also seemed to know Julian personally. So, I don't think she's going anywhere. You know what I mean? I think she's been around for a really long time. So I really hope that we can get her back. I also love that in a season that has dealt with So, not early in the season, but, towards the middle of the season, we did start getting, we got tarot stuff popping up, and then we had Bible stuff popping up. And I thought it was funny to have this character that I do believe is at least associated with heavenly bodies, right? Yeah. Like this character that I at least, think is, among them, if not one of them. Having a woman criticize the patriarchy she works for, maybe meaning God, was pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was really good.
Anna, also, sorry, before we totally move off this, another thing, I guess, that kind of hung me up on Kevin, where I was like, is this an angel? She also used the word task. Yes. And she's tasked with looking after the balance in the world, and we've already covered that angels typically have a specific task and stuff for which they've been created. So, there was just so much ambiguous language around her that I was like, I loved it, though, and I don't actually need to know. I just want to see her again. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just her was tasked, but, I mean, she mentioned the task, and you had talked about, the second we found out that Julian was an angel, you have been talking about tasks, an angel's tasks. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions about Kevin's character and this group, and, we're expected to kind of trust at face value, but there's got to be, we already know there was something more than what she was willing to say first off, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. And, I guess, speaking of angels' tasks, we do get confirmation of what Julian's task was, and that was he and Juan Carlo, who is an angel, surprise!
Yay!
He and Juan Carlo were tasked with, guarding the gate to the garden. And making sure Bolshar stayed in it.
Yes.
So.
Yep. Yeah, it totally explains why Juan Carlo repeatedly told us that he could not interfere, because human beings must have free will in accordance with God's law. So, he could, break the rules, I guess, but he would probably be in pretty big trouble with the big guy, so.
Mm-hmm. And, he could do it to a point, we saw that he helped guide Doc back to Purgatory when he was making his escape, but he didn't really interfere necessarily.
That's right.
Although he's apparently a terrible mechanic. So, yeah, it was nice to have that, because I know we've been talking about, what is his task, what is his task, what is his task. So, it's nice to do that. And, let's just plow right through it. Bolshar was the snake from the garden. Go, Laura, go!
All right. Okay, so we got, okay. All right, Bible study, everybody. So, Bible projections confirmed, right? We are on the lookout for 2 trees in the Garden of Eden, the Tree of Life and the Tree of Knowledge. Waverly drops that at the top of the episode. It's something that we've talked about before. We talked about it in relation to tarot, actually, and about the Lover's card. So, yes, that is what we're protecting. And seeing as how Bolshar... Jeremy says that Bolshar's first incarnation was the serpent. So I'm assuming that Bolshar is probably not after... I don't know why he would be after the Tree of Knowledge. I think if we are following a slightly less Christian telling of... No, seriously. Yeah. Like ancient Mesopotamia and stuff like that. Like a different interpretation of the Tree of Life as something that would let him control life. Then I could see why he would be after it. He could also be after it just to get back in it, though. I don't know. If he was hanging out there and that was like his little baby snake home, and that's where he feels safe and warm and loved, then Maybe Bolshar just wants to go home. But anyway, a few things for our Bible study this week. I do love the speaking fire stuff for Maeve. Because in the Old Testament, God speaks to Moses through a burning bush, and I'm pretty sure the box of matches that Doc uses to start the fire actually say Lucifer on the front.
They do. I have that note.
Love it. Also, in the earliest depictions of angels from the Hebrew Bible and the Talmud, both text sources for the Old Testament, you have the angels Af, meaning anger, and Hema, meaning wrath, described by Moses as being forged from chains of black and red fire. Samael, an archangel whose name means venom of God, and who we've talked about before, is also in this passage, which is like depicting, it's Moses visiting the seventh heaven. And the title of Satan, with a capital S, is accorded to him, Samael. Which brings us to Bolshar being the serpent in the garden, and about the biblical serpent getting confused with the devil in modern interpretations of Genesis. Basically, the serpent in the Garden of Eden was just that. It was a serpent. A talking one, yes, but an animal all the same. Most importantly, the word Satan, which was not in its first incarnation a proper name, but more of like you could be a Satan. Like Samael was referred to as a Satan, and then he was the Satan. Anyhow, that word never appears in Genesis 2:3, because the devil had not been invented yet. At the time the story was written, ancient Israel had no devil figure. And for more on this, you guys, you can check out how the certain serpent became Satan at biblicalarchaeology.org. So all that being said, I think your theory, Catherine, that Bolshar is the devil, or that the show is alluding to him being the devil and the serpent, is still right, because the devil has, since Genesis was written, become conflated with the serpent in the garden, especially in modern Christianity.
Excellent.
So at the very least, I think he's a devil figure.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I was watching and just wishing that I had your analysis now. Because, as
it's late, but it's here.
I don't Bible, so.
Mm-hmm. Also, just an image to be aware of, Emily likes to hide clues in the opening sequence. And in the opening credits, we see a stone angel with palms out, and the image kind of flips over, and it's the same angel, but with a stone serpent wrapped around it.
Interesting. Alrighty. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I don't know what to think about all of this, except for go, I hope I'm right, just because I enjoy it when my theories are right.
Yeah, I honestly, when you said that to me, because my interpretation of the tarot, we hadn't gotten a lot of this yet, and so when I just saw the devil card, based on what that card means in tarot, what it actually means in tarot, I thought that he was in bondage to something. So I thought that Bolshar was, or had, sold his soul for power, or had, whatever. But as we've seen, especially, once we moved away from Kate, once Kate was kind of no longer speaking for our tarot cards, the cards became a much more literal interpretation of, what is the image on the card. The image on the card is a devil, so Bolshar is the devil. The Lover's card represents the garden, has a depiction of the Garden of Eden, so we are talking about the Garden of Eden. And again, I think that's probably the easiest way to use tarot on a television series. I'm not against it or anything. I think that's the simplest way to go.
Yeah. You know what we're gonna need to do?
What?
We need to do a season 3 wrap up after the season ends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to need to do is, knowing what we know by the end, is have to go back and re-examine the tarot and everything. And by we, I mean you.
And by we, I thought that's what you were saying. And by we, I mean you have homework. Okay, all right.
It's just an idea.
All right, I'll break out my cards. I'll see what I can do.
Also, you're welcome for doing this while we're recording and mentioning, hey, let's do a wrap-up while we're recording.
Yeah. This is how she loops me into things, you guys. This is how she pins me down.
I make it hard to say no by having witnesses.
Yes. Yes.
I'm delightful.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you again for that, because...
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's getting to the point where I'm like, I don't know how to deal with this. This is getting to be a lot, especially, like, there's so many pieces and stuff like that. It's like, oh, my brain. Because they're bringing in a lot of different, like, things. Sorry, that was, like,
yeah.
that kind of fell apart.
I would really like to get into that, when we do our wrap-up, because there were, there were a lot of different spiritual aspects to this, Christianity and even ancient Judaism. Jeremy talks about the Quran in this episode and how the tree of life and the tree of knowledge, or how they are depicted in the Quran and like stuff like that. So so there's been a lot to cover.
Make you think. I hate it when TV show. No, I'm just kidding. I enjoy it when I'm made to think, because then I can have fun conversations.
Same.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Bible study out of the way.
Knocked it out.
Woohoo! Kind of with that, we got confirmation that Bulshar was turning people into trees so he could access the root system to find the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like, while they were talking about the garden and stuff like that, once again, Waverly was still like, and it's in purgatory?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we're definitely looking at like a different plane situation anyway, so it's probably accessible from more than one place. There's probably more than one place like purgatory.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, who's to say how large the garden is, or how many doors it has, or whatever else. Yeah, I mean, artistic interpretation.
There are like so many different Hellmouths, but Sunnydale was like a big one.
Yeah.
So like, why can't there be like a main hub?
What I do appreciate is that this garden is cloaked.
Yes.
And, like the Garden of Eden was supposedly like hidden from sight, or like cloaked. Right. So I like that you can't just see it. It's not something that you can just walk up on. That
would be awkward. And
oh my god, this is the Garden of Eden.
Yeah. Probably cause a lot of problems, yeah. Especially if the people who were supposed to like guard it,
the just kind of cherubim and the flaming sword that rotates in all different directions. Yeah, I don't want to stumble up on that.
Nope, not at all.
Could you imagine being that Uber driver? Like, oh
shit! Yeah, took a wrong turn. You sure you want me to drop me off? You sure you want me to drop you off here? Yeah, it's fine. This is exactly what I wanted to go.
I live here.
I need a bigger tip. Oh, jeez. Okay.
That one thing though, like like we haven't just made a dozen Buffy references already, but it does remind me a little bit of Willow in season 7, because the girl would not stop talking about how everything was connected through root systems.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how many times she said root systems at the top of the 7th season. I love Willow, but it got old.
She went full druid.
Yeah.
She got past the book learning witch stuff and went straight to druidic stuff.
She was one with the earth, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was, they did kind of try to really drive that home. I mean, you want to talk Buffy, we're kind of looks like we're looking at a gift situation here.
Yeah, no, truth, yes.
And also kind of a little bit of the season 4 finale, Lost Girl. Kenzie through the portal.
Oh, yeah, poor Kenzie. I really need a rewatch.
You really do.
Yeah, sorry.
But, I mean, spoiler alert for Buffy, again.
and Kenzie, and Lost Girl.
That was vague enough, probably. By the time you get there, if people were, like, watching for the first time, chances are by the time they get there, they'll, like, forget. chances are. Maybe. I don't know. It's fine, guys. Everything's fine. Anyway, it really looks like we're looking at a gift situation. And to be gift, not gif. I just realized that I don't enunciate, so it definitely sounded like I said gif. Because, Waverly is told that, she has to sacrifice and, to save the world, and we have her sister, Wynonna, who is, like, hell-bent on making sure she can't. But I think Waverly is told she's the only one who can take that seat, but I think there's still ways we can see other people sacrificing themselves for so that Waverly doesn't have to. And I only suggest that, I have a Julian-related thing, but I suggest it could potentially be other people, just because they could find a way to work it in, and I just know how much this show is influenced by Buffy. So the chances of it having that strong of a parallel are pretty high for me.
I hear you. I think the ring is part of it. And I think because she can't remove the ring, it has to be her. But I'm willing to bet that one of two things happens. Either Mama Earp gets back just in time with Julian, and we don't have to worry about that, or Waverly goes full Stone Angel for a second to defeat Meushaw, and it's this, really emotional moment for all of us, and we're cursing at poor Emily on Twitter, but then Julian comes back to free her from his burden and resume his rightful place protecting the garden for all eternity. I think it'll go that way or the other, though. Either Waverly gets on that throne for a hot minute and Julian saves her from it. Yeah, that's what I'm betting happens.
And I thought about that, and I also had this thought. The Guardian needed 2 angels to guard it / seal it.
True, yes.
One of them was Julian, who, as far as we know, is still alive, despite the angel in the Gibson greenhouse. Sorry, we have that angel statue in the Gibson greenhouse, which, finding out that they turned to stone, seems to hold so much more water. Like that's an actual angel in that greenhouse.
Yeah,
but Juan Carlo is dead, leaving. Not what if Julian doesn't show up, it leaves 2 spots that Waverly, in theory, has to take one. But even if Julian does show up, there's still another spot. Okay. Also, Meushaw stole Julian's ring. Where's Juan Carlos?
Okay, so this is high-level Bible stuff, okay? You ready? We're going to go high-key Bible. Okay, so remember how I was saying that the garden was protected by a cherubim and a flaming sword that turned in all directions. The knife that Juan Carlo holds up to show Bobo in his flashback, he seems to be calling that blade Peacemaker.
Yes.
And I'm willing to bet that the blade was the original Peacemaker, a divine weapon which Wynonna will find in the flats that Bobo keeps talking about, and she will use that to defeat Meushaw as a weapon against Meushaw. And if they want to go full Bible with this, what they need is 1 angel and 1 flaming sword. So there's a chance that that blade is the flaming sword from the Bible.
Possibly. And when Kevin is talking to Wynonna, when she introduces herself, she asks her, "Do you truly intend to go up against the beast with no training, no blade?" So,
there we go.
Yeah, I thought the blade being called Peacemaker was interesting because at that point in the story, we know Wyatt already had the gun.
Yes, yeah.
And Wyatt was, because Doc gifted that gun to him before this point in that flashback. And we know that Wyatt called it Peacemaker, but I guess at this point we don't know why. So I think, you could, I guess in theory, think, oh, maybe the blade became Peacemaker somehow, like the gun. But at this point in the story, it's pretty clear that that Wyatt already had the gun.
Also, at this point in the story, our heroine has no weapon by which to defeat her monster, right? So this is a very it's just in the nick of time. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't have a gun. She's got no way to fight this guy. And then we've got Juan Carlo talking about this blade by the same name and all of the religious imagery that goes along with that. So I don't believe if she still had Peacemaker, then I would think maybe the gun the blade got melted down and made into. But now I think we've got another demon killing weapon.
Yeah. Also, in regards to Julian returning, that light at the end of the episode that Wynonna sees, that blinding white light in the window, I believe is Julian returning.
Nice. I love it.
I mean, it would be such a weird thing for it not to be, because for me, at least, because it's like, it's a very, a white light is kind of a very, oh, that's, an angelic thing too. And we know Mama Earp went looking for him and stuff like that. So I think that's Julian returning. Or something very, very, very terrible is happening, and that is the start of this nonsense with Bullshark. But I think it's the return of Julian.
Yeah, I took that. I took it to be something associated with the garden. Like maybe he's got to do some sort of spell or something to open a door, or like something like that. Or he was too close and it was glowing, or like something along those lines. I did take it to be like an apocalypse type thing. But I would like it if it were Julian. That would be really cool. I don't know. I'm kind of split on that. I think. Because I do believe that they will pull Julian in at the last possible moment. Yeah. So I think it probably, the light had to do with the garden. But I don't know. I think either of those are totally valid theories. So I'm excited to see which one turns out to be. I think it will be one of those two.
There is also the fact, to kind of shoot down my own thing, is the last shot of the episode is Mercedes opening her door, and it is light out. So, sometimes, though, it's kind of hard to gauge, because it could have been technically earlier in the day, and they decided to put that in as a last cut, just because it was how they wanted to end the episode versus ending on the Earp sisters. Mm-hmm. So... sometimes it's hard to gauge, but to shoot down my own theory, I kind of think, it's when we know he's coming back. Like, he's returning. He has to.
Yeah, Waverly's not staying in that garden. It'll be Julian.
Waverly's not staying in that garden for long. I've seen a number of people suggest that Waverly does take that throne, and that's how we end the season, and that'll be a chunk of the fourth season is working to get Waverly back. I've seen people theorize about that.
Yeah.
So actually, Bonnie, the second half of the Tales of the Black Badge podcast, mentioned that in Whiskey and Donuts. So she thinks that's how they'll end the season, is Waverly turning into stone.
You can't deny it would be a heck of a cliffhanger. Punch in the gut, like... That'd be a way to go out for a season. We already know it got renewed, so we know it'll be back, and...
we know that, but, depending on how they wrote it, so... Depending on what they were worried about when they were writing it and stuff like that, who knows?
So we'll see.
I know, we'll see last 2 episodes all in one shot. I feel like there was another thing I wanted to mention about that, but did you happen to see the promo for the episode?
No, I didn't. I watched on iTunes.
Then I'm not going to say anything.
What? Tell me now.
No, I was going to say, because we do get something about, basically Wynonna makes a vague comment about Waverly doing something, and it seems to indicate that, of course, Waverly didn't necessarily tell Nicole what was going on. In the promo. So, I'm not looking forward to that, if that's the case, where Waverly just decides to, not say anything.
Yeah.
Or, maybe Waverly will decide and we'll get like a season 1 finale of Supergirl-esque, like Supergirl going around and telling everybody that, like Kara going around and telling everybody that she cares about like what they mean to her, and then trying to sacrifice herself.
Don't give me Supergirl season 1 feels. That's like my happy place.
I'm sorry.
Season 1.
I'm so sorry. But I really love that. That's a really good
was
finale,
amazing.
So anyway.
I miss Callista Flockhart.
Who doesn't?
Okay.
I love her. Oh
Love
God,
her.
I made it sad. I really brought it down. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
you
so
did.
sorry. How about this? Nicole got possessed.
She did. Oh my gosh.
And it was so much fun. So much fun.
It was incredible. Maeve Hot was everything to me in this episode. Maeve Hot, Kevin, and Mercedes. But we'll focus on Caparel for a second. She was so
Just
delightful
a second.
for 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Anyway, she was so delightful in this episode. I'm not going to advocate for Hot to be possessed in every episode, but I might not be mad about it. The way that she taunted Doc, and like with her bloody finger and like smearing the blood on her neck, and just the way she like threw herself around, you know, like in this character, I loved it. And I laughed so hard when she coughed up that journal page and threw it at Doc. Maeve Hot was a riot.
Yeah. I mean, Maeve was kind of a funny character. I am very confused about why we had a teenage ghost when Maeve was not a teenager. Like, we know that based on the flashback and what Doc has told us about, she liked to read and avoided men and, helped women with childbirth and to not get pregnant. So it's like she was deemed a witch. But it's like that woman does not seem like this ghost that we saw,
Yeah. She could have been fed like a steady diet of like, well, I was going to say Teen Vogue kindling, but Teen Vogue has really stepped up their game since the election, so I don't want to smear Teen Vogue that way. Why don't we say Tiger Beat? Is that still a magazine?
I don't know. Teen People used to be a thing for a while.
Okay,
so.
Yeah, we can go after Teen People. I don't think they've done what Teen Vogue has done.
I mean, that went poof a while ago, so I think it's okay to stomp down like old things. And I mean, we know she looks through like we don't know what trash Greta had around the house. So
you were also considered a woman much earlier in those days.
I know.
Like your childbearing years were shorter and stuff like that. So Maeve could have been 19, and she would have been a child in our eyes, but she would have been a woman in her time.
I thought about that, but I was also trying to gauge from the photo we were shown and the actress that we saw in the flashback.
Yeah, she did seem older.
Yeah. So that was the only thing that like really got me about the whole thing with Maeve, but I loved her. I loved the possession of Nicole, and I mean, I was really impressed, with the ripping Nicole's shirt open without like busting a button, because the last time somebody ripped Nicole's shirt open, it was like buttons everywhere, because that was the season 1 finale. So.
Not that you remember or anything.
Okay, the buttons flying everywhere and listening to them land was a really great part of that whole like crazy scene where they're like freaking out that Hot might have been either killed or a revenant. So
yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Don't come
kind
at
of.
me.
I'm not. Kind of random, but you brought up the photograph, and I did really like that like old timey photo of Juan Carlo and Maeve. I thought it was a little reminiscent of like American Gothic by Grant Wood, like with the pitchfork and stuff.
I knew immediately you were going there when you started talking about that.
Yeah,
yes.
So I just thought I thought it was cool. I thought it was just framed well and everything. Got American Gothic vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally did. Like, I didn't think about that, but the second you started to talk about it, I was like, oh my god, I know where she's going. Yeah, it was good. And I mean, like, Maeve possessing Jeremy and, like, just, that reaction. And we found out that Jeremy isn't purely human, which I think we've had hints of like the past season-ish, because we know Black Badge did stuff to him, and that Black Badge, wanted him for a reason, and we know that since he was in that accident, he could like tell when people were hurting or scared and stuff like that. So it was very apparent, at least to me, that he was not 100% human, but we had that confirmed. He apparently wasn't human enough for Maeve to possess him.
Yeah, I kind of thought, when we got the superpower empathy, that might sort of be the long and short of it. But I don't like, because it's terrible, right? But like, I guess from a narrative standpoint, I could see them doing something like Black Badge injected him with things, sort of like they did with dolls, or like experimented on him as a way to dial up his gift kind of a thing.
Possibly.
And like maybe make his empathy more reliable, or more of like a predictive thing. So hopefully we get some more answers on Jeremy, because I would like to know, if he's not purely human, what exactly is he?
Yeah. I am, I'm sure we'll get something of that answer probably next season. We're dialing down for this season. I doubt it'll come up this season.
I agree with you, yeah. I don't know that it is the time, honestly.
No,
There's a lot to tie up.
Yeah, and it's like, they very frequently like let's answer a couple questions, but give you 50 more as part of the finale. So this might have been an early dump for that. They are pretty good about, like, they do manage to pack a lot into each episode. And I mean, we do still have, an hour and a half left of season. But I don't envision that happening.
Yeah.
So I would be very surprised, and I'm not entirely, like you said, I'm not entirely sure it would be appropriate.
Yeah.
So either way. Yeah, there were also, like, talking about kind of the winding down of the season, there were two, like, really interesting, like, sometimes I'm really interested by what they choose to spend time on in an episode. And, I mean, like, I kind of appreciated the nice little, like, Jeremy and Robin scene we got before when Doc calls him. And I thought that was interesting to keep in. And that scene with Robin and Bobo.
Yes.
I thought that was very interesting, because it's like, again, 2 more episodes after this, and you focus a couple minutes on Robin listening to jazz and then sharing this with Bobo. So I thought that was interesting. Bobo was interesting this episode. But I thought that was, especially him asking Bobo, are you a good guy or a bad guy? And we've talked about this, and I've mentioned it before. Bobo does sit comfortably in that gray area.
Yeah.
So I thought that was definitely interesting.
Yeah, I really like the interaction between Bobo and Robin. Robin was kind of all of us in that scene, like unsure as to what side Bobo is actually on, and struggling between guarding this threat, right, that has been left in his charge, and recognizing Bobo's inherent humanity. There's also something to be said about this scene in terms of music soothes the savage beast. It's the first time this season we actually see Bobo at peace and talking sense.
Yeah, and, kind of talking sense.
Well, at least making, like, he can carry on a conversation about jazz, right? Like, yeah.
Music does some great things for people.
Yeah.
It really, to really tangent, sorry, I was trying to decide if I actually wanted to make it, to mention it, but, I mean, you look at music in regards to, like, people with Alzheimer's and dementia, giving them music that they used to listen to growing up or something like that can really help with the memories and everything, and it really makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So, yeah, that's your random, Catherine's random social worky anecdote. So yeah, it was an interesting thing to spend time on, but I liked it. I don't understand why Robin didn't unplug his headphones and just turn his phone up.
I don't know. Maybe the sound quality was better through his headphones.
Through that big, thick, like, plastic. I don't know, man.
I have no idea. I did think that Bobo trying to reconstruct his own narrative was brilliantly frustrating. He has so many answers, and he knows he does. He can't arrange what he knows to make any logical sense. He catches a flash of something crucial, and he shares it without context or by emphasizing the wrong parts of the story. Which I think is just when it's done well, and this is done well. I think that can be just a lot of fun to watch because you're just waiting for that breakthrough,
Yeah. And it was, because, I mean, like, he was offering snippets, and they were valuable snippets. And, it was very interesting that, he knows enough to tell Wynonna, I can't be trusted. He knows enough to tell Robin, don't let me out.
Right.
And then later, while also demanding to be let out. Because it's like, Bobo's having a hard time this episode.
Yeah.
Sending, going to hell and then time loop really did a number on him. And the well. Hell, well, time loop.
Hell, well, time loop.
Not great.
Those three get us all, don't they?
Yup. Also, like, Bobo had some really good moments, like the eye roll when Jeremy is talking about his calves.
Yeah.
And we get a really nice shot. It happened when Robin is talking to him too, but the when Wynonna and Bobo are talking, Wynonna's reflection on his face, because they're like perfectly matched, was really good. And I really liked that shot.
We got a little more Doc stuff this episode too. Doc is drinking blood from a vet clinic, which means animal blood will sustain vampires in this incarnation. This is something we've seen in Twilight, of course, but more notably, my homegirl Anne Rice. Her character, Louie, survived on animal blood for quite some time. Also, we saw that Nicole was carrying a clip of wooden bullets, which is pretty cool and also very disturbing, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But this, the clip of bullets, or the wooden bullets, is also a death method in Only Lovers Left Alive, starring Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton. It's a terrific vampire movie, and if you haven't already seen it, you should.
I haven't even heard of it.
It's phenomenal. I mean, I think I had you at Tilda Swinton. Go watch Only Lovers Left Alive.
Once again,
set in my hometown, Detroit.
I really need a running list, and I cannot believe that, like, 34 episodes into this podcast, I don't have one yet of everything that you have told me to watch. Because I don't have that. Because I'm terrible. But I really should make that list.
Oh, I thought you were like, why haven't I made that list? And I was like, you would hear me typing on my keypad.
Tap, 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 tap. No. I don't have that list, and I really should have by now. Also, I'm glad that I was right about the number of episodes. This is our 34th episode.
Nice.
No.
Also, like, we need to talk about Nicole carrying those bullets.
Yes, we can talk about Nicole. We definitely need to talk about Doc and Nicole, because I had a lot of feelings.
Okay. So, like she goes, you know what I mean? Like, she goes to get him. She teams up with him, and all that stuff. The intention is there, but you don't just casually pick up a clip of wooden bullets. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get those at Home Depot or anything. Right. You know what I mean? Like, she had to seek that out. She had to get those made, or something. It's very intentional, which is hard because, she loves Doc, or, she at least, she really likes him as a friend. They've teamed up before, and they're always awesome, and they both love the Earp sisters. They've got that in common, but Nicole is not messing around with this new side of him or this newfound power. She is afraid of it, whether she is afraid for herself or afraid for Waverly, who I think she would do anything to protect. And by proxy, I think she would do anything to protect Wynonna, to protect Waverly from that pain. Yeah, so I just wanted to be a fly on the wall when she was making that purchase.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that had to be...
Yeah. They might have been a black badge gift still from like, the vampire kit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't know how handy Nicole is. She could have made them herself.
Maybe she whittles.
We don't know. I know, Kat Burrell does metal work, knows how to do metal work.
There you go.
And leather work. Is it leather work? It's leather work. It might also be metal work. I'm not going to look it up. Either way. I know Kat Burrell is handy. That's where that was going. I don't know how handy Nicole is, but yeah, I mean, and I liked a lot of their scenes together, and I did like how, this is the second time we have seen Doc try to give away one of his revolvers too. And we know Doc and his revolvers are kind of like, I mean, quickest draw, best gunslinger and stuff like that. So for him to pass over his revolver, and he's very much like, hey, if I'm having trouble with this hunger, please, you have my permission to do this. So I thought that was good. And Nicole's like, I already got you. Yeah. I mean, it seemed because Nicole she's a protector.
Yeah, she is.
And she is definitely the person who would protect the people that she loves, even from a friend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was not at all shocking that she would have that, or I think it's one thing to have them too, and another thing to use them.
Yeah, and I paid a lot of attention to Doc in that scene. Mm-hmm. Because here he is, like trying to give the gun away. That's one thing. Giving the gun away and saying, "Here, take this, put me down if, or shoot me with a bullet that presumably won't kill a vampire," right? And then she pulls out something that presumably will kill a vampire, not just stop them, but put them down. And Doc sort of adjusting to that in that moment of like, she's had these on her. She came to me with them prepared. It is a different thing entirely.
And I do want to note, though, at the end of the episode, now Nicole did have 2 guns on her, but she had a clip of the wooden bullets, and we didn't see her switch her clip. So as far as we know, when she pulled the gun on him at the end, she also just pulled the gun that was unable to kill him. So it was still, once again, kind of maybe unwilling to pull that trigger.
Also, Charlie is very dead, and it will be interesting to see whether or not he rises.
I mentioned that, I popped into Whiskey and Donuts on Friday, and I had good thoughts. Yeah, because I mentioned that too, because we don't know the rules yet.
Right.
We don't know the rules for somebody to rise, and Charlie could rise. We have no idea how they make vampires. If making a vampire required any contribution on Doc's end,
then I don't think so, yeah.
Yeah, if it did, I'm not sure that he wouldn't have done it. Because I think when he realized what he had done, immediately, and kind of when he saw Nicole, he looked a little maybe horrified by the situation. I think he's still struggling with that. But we did also get that laugh as he was walking away.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, yeah. And it was, some people were suggesting that Maeve was in Doc.
Yes.
But we have been told that Maeve can't be possessing Doc for any length of time. So we don't know if that was Doc or Maeve.
That's a good point.
If it was Maeve, that makes sense. If it was Doc, that's a big conversation about Doc to have.
Yeah.
Because Doc has been struggling with the vampirism. He's been fighting this hunger. He's been struggling with attacking people. This is the second time he's attacked somebody he knows. And he doesn't care much for Charlie. But, it's still one of those things where he's still very much struggling. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there, especially Wynonna finding out is going to be bad.
Yeah. It's bad
I mean,
times
even
for her.
Jeremy looked like when he walked up and he went, "Oh shit,"
Yeah.
But yeah, I think gotta gather my thoughts because I have like a string of Charlie things. I mean, like I said, that scene with Nicole was excellent in this episode. I love Nicole. You know how much I love Nicole.
I do, yes.
And it was really rough to see her, Yeah, she had the wooden bullets. Yeah, she was prepared for Doc to go and maybe hurt somebody, or she was prepared, maybe like not emotionally prepared to kill him, but she at least had the tools. But yeah, I mean, just her telling him because apparently she and Charlie had enough of a relationship. We know they talked and stuff like that, so they were friendly. But her just, what have you done? And then literally the only one who wants to be around you. I'm literally your only friend, and look what you've done.
Yeah.
So it was hard, and it was full of feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Charlie, if he was a vampire, maybe he'd be more interesting. I mean, because I've said there's something up with this dude. There has been something weird about this dude, or something about this dude. Since he was introduced. I've been mad about him since he was introduced. And I'm sorry. Fixing a lawnmower in the middle of winter is a big red flag. So I felt really validated when we saw the fixing the lawnmower thing.
You sound a little bit like Buffy trying to tell everybody why that college roommate of hers was a demon.
Oh my god!
Does he listen to nothing but Cher? Because if so, he's a demon.
Oh my god, no! Actually, I'm not that mad about it because Buffy was right.
Buffy was right. I was getting there.
Yeah.
Buffy was onto something.
Also, and I mean, I felt a little bit validated about, my feelings towards him when he pulled out well, what about me? Let me list off all the other things that I did for you. And it's like, okay, why didn't you do them because it was the right thing? Why does it have to be because you want to get into her pants? Go away! You deserve to be eaten!
I'm in a devil's advocate like I always do and say that the last hug between Charlie and Wynonna was really sweet. He was so confused, should I be nice and normal more or never again? I thought that was a really funny line. And he's completely out of his depth with Wynonna. He doesn't know which way is up with her. So, I don't know. R.I.P. Charlie. Hopefully you're not a vampire and, yeah.
No, hopefully you are a vampire.
Oh, okay. Hopefully you are a vampire, Charlie, and we'll see you again.
Because he'd be more interesting that way.
All right, Catherine wants you to be a vampire.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I felt really validated with some of my I don't know about this dude feelings when it's he, red flag lawnmower situation and then was like, what about me? It's we're in the middle of an apocalypse. Go away.
Mm-hmm.
Go away. Useless.
I was a little irritated about that, but then he died, and I was like, well, never mind.
I mean, it was when I was I almost felt bad about it, and then I was like, no, I'm not going to feel bad about it.
No. Also, according to Maeve, Doc was Wyatt's boyfriend, so I'm pretty sure that theory of yours just became canon.
I am a little sad it took us an hour to bring this up, especially because I was so excited, and I have a note here that's kind of recaps that moment, and then I'm like, canon, bitches! Because, yeah, I have said that since, episode 3, it's been years, and I was like, they're totally have a thing, I have been saying that, and then Maeve is like, you're Wyatt's boyfriend, and Doc, just the look he gives Nicole, and then Nicole's kind of that nod of approval, or okay, go Doc, and then he's like, yeah, okay, fine. It's great, and I loved it.
It was good. It was even better because Doc went with it.
Yeah. I mean, older people like to use, girlfriend to refer to just a friend, but, no. Him and Wyatt were a thing. They traveled around, they were good friends, they had like a hella crazy like falling out and all this stuff. Like, no, they are totally a thing, and yeah. I love the look you're giving me right now.
I'm just supporting you. I'm silently supporting you.
I know. So yeah, I really love that, and I got really excited when I heard it. Yeah, anyway. There was a lot about this episode to talk about. So good. Oh, that was one thing I wanted to know, speaking about, like, Doc and Maeve. Maeve calls him a hypocrite, and, like, she obviously has some kind of animosity towards Doc, and I'm kind of wondering what's up with that. I kind of want to know more. Like, I want to know if, like, because we know she was burned at the stake, thanks to townspeople, and I'm wondering if, like, maybe there was something going on with that, or maybe she's referring to something, like, completely different, or something like that, but I'm really curious as to what her thing about Doc is.
When did she call him a hypocrite?
She tells him...
Was she already in Nicole?
Yeah.
I thought it had to do with him being a vampire.
Maybe. I thought about that too. I just know she also seemed to have a level of animosity for him from the beginning, so I was wondering if there was something.
Yeah, she wasn't listening to him, like even like in her fire form, kind of a thing. Yeah.
So, I was curious about that. I'm confident we haven't seen the last of Maeve, so.
Yeah, I don't think we have either.
Also, like, I had one more, like, Doc note. We talked about this last week with the, shouldn't Doc have been fine being buried alive because in theory vampires don't need to breathe. I get in a fire situation a vampire having issue with fire, but he was coughing an awful lot. And once again, I'm like, shouldn't he have been fine? He doesn't need to breathe. So it seems as if they're not adopting the vampires don't need oxygen line of mythology for some reason. I don't know. It was very weird to me.
Could be. I mean, he's already fine in the sunlight, you know what I mean? And that's usually, pretty universally has, like, an effect on vampires. So, so maybe they are distinctly more human and more vulnerable. Maybe.
I also did see somebody in Whiskey and Donuts suggested that the ring could cure him of his vampirism. Well, it does perform miracles.
Yeah, I could see it if, like, Waverly or Julian, if he gets it back, because the ring is also seems to have a mind of its own and also maybe needs some suggestion.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would just do it, when it was on his hand after he was turned, it burned him. So maybe if somebody like Waverly or Julian was wearing it and, sort of put that intention out there. Maybe.
Yeah. And it also seems reasonable because if you view vampires as kind of a half demon, half human entity, you could argue, healing the demon side killing the demon side while healing the human side. So the ring could also possibly cure him of his tuberculosis.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
If he is cured of his vampirism. So I saw that, although I can't believe they'd be super likely to do that considering he did just kill somebody.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
Something that stood out to me, I thought there was a lot to be read into Wynonna's body language when Kevin was telling Waverly that she, and not Wynonna, was the chosen one.
In that initial bit when she rushes up, like, the initial you are the chosen, like, she's the chosen one?
Yeah, and then after, when they're all, like, throwing back shots, and Wynonna's sort of, like, pacing and, like, trying to get her head around it, and, like, before they have their confrontation in the snow, she's she's a little all over the place, and, like, she looks like she's struggling to get there.
Mm-hmm. And she also, a lot in that episode, especially after that moment, put herself between Kevin and Waverly. She put herself in front of Waverly a lot this episode.
Yeah. She also talked a lot about, hey, being the heir still sucks, and, like, stuff like that, and then the end of the episode rolls around, and it's not about her.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting because, this is something for once she's not the one. And it's like she has talked about what a burden this is. She
Yep.
has this insane burden and she's shouldering it. And I think it's kind of one of those things where she may not necessarily want the weight of the world on her shoulders, but she sure as hell doesn't want it on her baby girl. She
Yeah.
sure as hell doesn't want it on Waverly's.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to be struggling a lot with this too, with this idea that she's helpless,
Mm-hmm.
and Waverly could be making an enormous sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like I said, fairy gift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I do love that even after finding out that Waverly's ring was her father's and that it is an angel's ring, she wore the oven mitt. Sorry,
Yeah.
I wanted to throw that out. Like, she still put it on.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that.
I really liked Wynonna's coffee order at the
gosh.
top of the episode. Like, her coffee game is strong. It's stronger than mine, which worries me. A quintuple shot latte should come with a warning label for your heart.
It kind of did. I mean, Jeremy mentions that they talked the barista into making it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Wynonna doesn't play. If she's not whiskeying it up, she's like trying to kill her body with all of that espresso.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. I really like, because, we got that scene of Waverly telling Wynonna when Wynonna gives up Peacemaker, and Waverly's like, well, you have us.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked how we saw that, like, in this episode, we see Waverly kind of giving up a little bit and saying, well, what do we have? And Jeremy's like, well, we have each other.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. I do enjoy kind of that cycle of it's like Waverly is Wynonna's rock, but, somebody still needs to be Waverly's and somebody still needs to kind of remind Waverly of the thing that she just told Wynonna. So I did like that moment between them.
I thought it was cool, too, because Juan Carlo had been talking about hope, and so then Bobo was talking about hope, and Waverly had lost her hope, and then there was Jeremy keeping hope alive and sort of, like, for the team, like, being that source of hope. It's a nice moment for him.
I had a note about, like, hope in my stuff, too, because Bobo mentions it a few times, so it looks like they might be trying to stress that a little bit, too. So it'll be interesting to see how maybe that keeps coming up, because Bobo does say, of course, Bobo's like, there's no hope left. It's hope is and they have that flashback with Juan Carlo and mention it too. So might put another tick in the box for Waverly sacrifices herself. Who knows? Who knows how this will go? But yeah, God, there was so much in this episode. I'm so like my brain's like wee all over.
There was a lot.
Going through some of the favorite moments. Once again, we got some really fabulous Earp Sisters stuff.
Yeah, we did.
Really fabulous. I mean, from like Waverly being all. That's another thing I mentioned, like Wynonna having to shoulder this burden, and especially in this episode, we're seeing Waverly like a lot more willing to like. Well, she's always been willing to kind of help out. But Waverly being allowed to help out. Like, she's all gung-ho to go to the mine. And I love how, Wynonna kind of takes her aside for a minute and was like, well, I can do this. And Waverly's like, no, I want to help. I have to help. I cannot just sit around. Yep. Even though we know that her doing her research is
important.
Like, yeah, and it came in handy this episode several times. But it's just, she's like, wants to go get in there and wants to help Wynonna, and telling her that she's ride or die and stuff like that was such a great moment. And I like, Waverly kind of, we saw Wynonna fall and Waverly pick her right back up and pick her up and kind of get her out of there. And I really love how excited Waverly was when she was right about the Revenant. It's like all of that. There were so many good moments with the Earp sisters, and it's like, I loved that moment too, where she's like, I bet he's radioactive. And then it's like Wynonna gets that radiation burn. It's like, he is radioactive. It's like, honey, maybe now's not the time to get excited about that.
I loved everything at the Gardner homestead, but especially the Earp sisters high-fiving over bad puns while ripping an irradiated limb off of a revenant.
It was pretty fabulous.
Yeah.
I am now remembering that I don't think I had, speaking of bad puns, I don't think I put that one on my list, of my quotes list.
Oh, I don't think I have that either. I have that moment, but I don't have that quote.
Yeah, you know how much I love a pun, though.
I do know.
But I know, I didn't put it in. What terrible, terrible thing. No, I mean, the Earp sisters are so good. And, you know, we got a lot more with them this episode, so that's always delightful.
We did, and I thought it was a really cool sort of be careful what you wish for kind of a thing, too.
Yeah.
Because Waverly has always sort of bemoaned the fact that she was not chosen, that she is not the heir, and, you know, and Wynonna's always so quick to remind her, this sucks, you know. And so, you know, last episode, you know, we kind of ended in a very, the episode before this one, we ended with a very similar moment, and then, you know, it's sort of a mirror image to this one, except it's all riding on Waverly. It's Waverly's burden. It's Waverly's choice. And this is something that she has wanted or thought she wanted this entire time. And now she has it. And she's really, I think, starting to appreciate how much it sucks.
Yeah, can I just mention, because I know when we found out that Waverly was an angel, or well, like Waverly's father was an angel, I think I made a comment like, you know, now Waverly gets to be an heir of something. It's about time or something like that. She's been going, I take it back. I don't want her. I take it back because I don't want to see her pay this price, you know?
Yeah, I don't either. That whole scene, you know, between the two of them really, really hit me emotionally. Melanie did such a beautiful job. Those tears looked so genuine on her part. I got a little, like, worked up over it. Yeah. And, yeah, you could really feel all of it sort of, like, coming off of both of them.
I mean, and just, once again, I'm going to nerd, like, the directorial decisions, you know, they didn't put them on a couch. They didn't put them on chairs. They put them on the floor.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there are chairs right there, but they put them on the floor, like, working this out. And we very frequently see those very emotional Earp Sisters moments on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, that's been a consistent, like, when Wynonna, you know, gets the note from Doc that he's all in, that's, you know, on the floor with the Earp sisters and stuff like that. But it was such a beautiful moment between the two. And, you know, I've said it from episode 1, Melanie and Dom, I mean, portray that relationship so amazingly. I mean, it is, and just the little moments, like, you know, when they're hugging and the little kiss on the shoulder.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so much, like, it's just that entire comforting moment that, like, well, we're really in the shit now, but, you know, it's just, it's so good. There was nothing about that scene that wasn't excellent. And, I mean, once again, the music choice was on point.
Yeah, it was. So, new note section, everyone, and this is all about Swedish singer-songwriter Ylvi Mist. Her song, Magnifying Us, was the song playing during the last heartbreaking scene with the Earp sisters. I got a chance to speak with her today before we recorded this, and I'm going to give you guys a short bio about this up-and-coming new artist because I love finding new music, and I'm very passionate about supporting emerging new acts. So, Ylvi Mist's music is inspired by acts such as Kate Bush, London Grammar, Beth Hart, and Lana Del Rey. Magnifying Us is her debut single, and in her words, the first glimpse of who she is as an artist. The song is about being honest and finding the strength to reveal yourself. Miss said that the scene between the Earp sisters with her song playing in the background really moved her. It's a scene, like you and I just said, about the burden of sacrifice, honesty, even if that means selfishness, and fear. I also, sort of a sidebar, I also love the fact that this is such a close-up on the Earps. You've got this beautiful song playing. There isn't even a fire in the hearth that they're sitting in front of. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's all very austere, and you have these beautiful lyrics and these crystal clear vocals. It's a very evocative scene. Ylvi also said something about the song that I really related to as a writer. She said that she didn't come up with this song so much as it revealed itself to her, and I just really related to that. She has always loved music and says it's been a constant source of inspiration and light in her life. She writes and performs all her own music. This track was produced by Kim Simons-Bacca. I'm sorry, I know I probably butchered that last name, I'm sorry. But on a personal note, you guys, Ylvi Mist was a joy to speak to. She was very kind. And as a debut writer, I'm here to tell you guys that it's hard to be a debut anything in this world. So please follow her on Twitter at ILLVIMIST. And you can listen to Magnifying Us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Amazon, Spotify, and YouTube. They've at least got a lyrics video up. And after you guys listen to it and you remember this heartbreaking Earp Sisters moment, you can at me and yell at me for making you cry. Or better yet, at the artist and tell her how you're feeling, because I'm sure she'll really appreciate it. But I'm really looking forward to hearing more from her, so let's show her some Earper love.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because it was such a well-placed song, so yeah, definitely bookmark that to add it to your Earp playlist that I know you all have.
Yeah,
and
actually,
give yourself some feels.
Yeah, I already put it on my playlist. And you know, kind of touching on something that you said earlier, you said there are so many Lost Girl parallels that we probably could and should be making, but you know, but we are some hardcore Buffy fans. Not that we don't love Lost Girl, obviously. We brought it up quite a bit this season. But this song, like when I heard it playing, it had a real Lost Girl feel to me. Like when I heard it, I immediately stopped what I was doing and I started to Google the lyrics, because I was like going through, in my head, I was going through my Lost Girl playlists, and I was like, who is this? Like, you know, like, because the song just so felt like something that I could picture on Lost Girl, because Lost Girl had a lot more, you know, like indie music in it than Wynonna Earp does. And it makes sense. Wynonna Earp is a Western. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, a lot of our song titles come from Westerns and stuff like that. So yeah, just sort of a random thing that you mentioned earlier that I thought about. This song, it made it feel like a Lost Girl moment a little bit, and I mean that in the best possible way. I loved that show, and I discovered so many bands from Lost Girl, and I'm really excited that Wynonna Earp has given me this one.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mentioned Wynonna Earp playlist too, and I realized, like, I actually don't have one. I just use other people's. But yeah, it is kind of one of those things. I'm a big, like, I will listen to songs that were in TV shows because, you know, it brings up certain feelings or whatever, and I'm more likely to do that than to listen to, like, the radio or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's why I get so, like, it's the the music selection on this is, like, so good, and so it's like, I do get so involved. So thank you for giving us that information, just because we did get quite, like, I saw the messages after you had responded, but we did get such lovely messages and stuff like that.
Yeah, she was so nice, you guys.
And, I mean, she was just so excited to have her song in the and what an episode, what a scene to have. I mean, what a wonderful thing. So I'm excited for her, because
me too.
That's going to be on so many playlists. That's going to be, it was such a wonderful scene. I love that scene.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
When don't I love an Earp Sisters scene?
This is a trick question.
It's just a really easy one.
Yes. Also, super random, I love Kevin's selfish, short-sighted, weak-willed millennials joke. Like, well, it wasn't a joke, it was a slam. But, like, supposedly, we millennials have killed marriage, the housing market, and chain restaurants. And now our journey of the self will result in an apocalypse. So just great job. Great job, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, we are really, because, like, friendly reminder, millennials are basically people in their 20s, 30s, and does it also include people in their early 40s at this point?
I think mid-30s. I don't know.
Okay, I cannot remember exactly what either way, it's like grown-ass adults. Like, we are these, we ruin everything.
Yeah. Except avocados. Avocados are the only thing we love.
Well, the avocado toast is why we can't afford to buy homes.
Yeah, too much of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty soon, I mean, give it a couple of years, we're ruining the avocado market because we're eating too much.
Oh, yeah, there you
I
go.
would argue that we've ruined toast by putting avocado on it, but
Hey, watch your mouth.
I like how you like laughed and then it like you did. I just watched. I like this is the best part of Skyping you now for this season with doing this because the laugh and then the wait a minute that just happened was glorious.
Step away from avocado toast.
I said what I said.
You did. You did. You meant it. I can see it in your face.
I know. I'm not, avocado belongs on some things and not others.
Agree to disagree.
Oh no. Sounds like this is the end of the podcast, y'all. No.
It's been fun.
Millennials ruined podcasting.
Millennials ruined our own podcast.
We're monsters! I mean, but also Kevin says that and then, like, gets into her smart car, so, like, at least, well, millennials haven't ruined those yet, sadly.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't ruined those yet. Yeah, I just had a couple of, like, really random notes. Like, I kind of like Doc calling Nicole Sheriff Hot, because he does very frequently call her Officer Hot, and he did it once in this episode. And then when he's talking to Maeve and telling her he won't kill her, he's like, Sheriff Hot is my friend. So I kind of like that, because I think it's the first time we heard him call her that.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that. Because it's like, they had talked about her being promoted, and I guess she has been promoted, but we haven't actually, like, really, like, it's been talked about, but not really. I like the title coming from somebody in the group.
Right.
I like that. I also like when Jeremy got to the Pearly house and was, like, telling Doc he's there for Nicole, and then immediately being unable to resist complimenting his shirt.
I love that, too.
Yeah, I just like that. Damn it! Like, it was so great. It's like, oh, Jeremy, you useless gay. It happens to the best of us.
It does.
Also, Nicole points out that it seems like a lot of townspeople are leaving, or possibly being turned into trees, but...
Leaving or trees.
Yeah, it also kind of struck me as a very Buffy Season 7 thing, because it happened at the end of the series. Like,
there was a mass exodus.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden people in Sunnydale, it was like, oh, well maybe I shouldn't stay in this town anymore. I don't know why, because it's not like a mass memo went out, but it's like, I shouldn't stay in this town anymore.
This is too apocalypse-y, even for me.
Oh, and a friend of mine did mention, one of the things that Wynonna Earp gets really, really right, okay, I put an extra really, is that Nicole isn't just an extension of Waverly.
Yeah.
And that was really obvious in this episode. And we've talked about love interests being more than just love interests, and I wanted to throw that out there because we have brought it up multiple times with other characters, and it is true. Like, I do enjoy Nicole getting her own storylines and getting a lot of her own, to be her own person, and just worth mentioning, wanted to bring it up, because I know we've talked about it before. So, two more random notes.
Okay.
One, Doc needs to learn to wipe his damn mouth.
Yeah.
And also, like, privacy is a thing. Go in the back, eat your blood, like, get the blood there, you animal. And it was really rude of Kevin to attack Waverly's bangs and to be like, is that is it the bangs?
That was one of my favorite quotes.
I figured that would ease us nicely into quotes.
Oh, quotes!
Quotes! I might have trouble with quotes considering all of my transcribed nonsense is in here too.
All right.
So it might take me a minute to get through some stuff.
I'm gonna kick you off. Nice and short. I really loved Jeremy's, whenever I'm confused watching Game of Thrones, I watch a recap of the season to remember which bearded guy cut off the head of the other bearded guy. And the only caveat that I would put to that is that Arya Stark cuts off a lot of heads. And she is a little baby girl. Anyway.
I know who Arya is, and I will trust that she cuts off a lot of heads.
She does.
I don't watch Game of Thrones, so.
I get it.
Yeah, that one I'm not, like, that one I will fight anyone on if they try to argue. And most of the time I'm like, yeah, okay, I know I'm terrible. Yeah, I did like Jeremy telling Wynonna, yeah, the barista said it was like drinking a liter espresso straight up, but we made her make it anywho.
I really liked Waverly's talking about the trees, and she's like, it's like if the Giving Tree had sex with a Stephen King story.
I knew you would have that on there.
That was good.
I also... an underappreciated moment in that was Waverly. You know, we know Bolshar had some kind of power over the woods, and Jeremy saying, yeah, that guy would kill on Tinder.
Right. Yes. Right after that, they're going through. They're going through the trees, and they're like, not only the Bible, but the Kabbalah, the Talmud, the Quran, and that really weird Hugh Jackman film. And like, way to work in a shout out to The Fountain. Like, great job.
I actually forgot to Google that because I had no idea which film they were talking about.
Yeah, it's Darren Aronofsky's The Fountain. Rachel Weisz is in it.
Ooh.
There you go.
Damn it. How to win me over.
Gotcha.
I actually really like Hugh Jackman too, but...
Yeah, no, he's fine.
Not in the same way I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, also in that same, like, scene where Waverly's like, but it's in purgatory? We don't even have an IKEA.
I liked that. I liked Nicole's, you want me to flip him in the flippers? Balls? You want me to kick him in the balls? Nope. It was so awkward.
It was so awkward. And you just saw my reaction. I'm like I'm like, no, I cannot deal with how awkward that was. It was, oh God, Nicole. Bobo telling them to let me out of this cage. And then, well, a cage has bars. It's technically more of a terrarium. Yeah, that's usually where people keep lizards, so... Or maybe snakes.
I liked Wynonna's, but then I got stuck in a booby-trapped house with a vampire, a demon, and an overdramatic douche in a fur coat. Plus, the world's ending any minute, so smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Charlie just like, I don't have anything.
I don't have 'em.
Yeah, and when she's talking about Bolshar turned people into trees and used the root system to find the garden, as in the garden, it's pretty ingenious, actually. Are you fangirling the bad guy? He's winning. And then, like, when he's, like, asked if she's got the magic gun ready, I gave it to my mortal enemy. You what? To be fair, it was a regift.
I loved Kevin's introduction. You're on my porch. Wow, you're a regular Mariska Hargitay.
I knew you would have that on your list. And I like the who the hell are you now? I'm Kevin, and I'm going to help you save the world, Earp. Next time, lead with that.
I loved the, you drink too much, yeah. You couldn't find your ass with a map. Where is it? I don't know. And you are literally our only hope. That's what I've been saying. I don't know why, dude, but Wynonna's little where is it? I don't know. Made me laugh so hard. It was the shortest, it was the smallest little, like, one-liner that got the biggest laugh for me.
It was so great. I really enjoyed it, too. And Kevin coming for the outfit was just too much.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kevin's line about, like, I really wish I could force people to do things for their own good.
Yes, yeah. And you already covered the, hey, does your boyfriend tell you what to do? I don't have a boyfriend. Is it the bangs?
It's like, don't be rude. And if you really watch everything, you know, Kevin, you just wanted to attack the bangs. You don't even know who this woman is. I know she can rock a suit and karate chops necks like a champ. That's really all you need to know?
Yeah, I think so.
God, I have so many votes. Oh, like, that's news. And when Waverly, weather update, being the air still sucks balls. Appreciate the weather update, but now can I have there's a woman in our kitchen eating our pickles update?
I really liked the Waverly's little ride or die. So are you girls really going to do this? Yeah, we are. Ride or die.
That was so cute.
I know.
I love them so much.
Me too. Precious babies.
Oh, and when Doc is telling Nicole about, like, some people claim she was a witch. She lived alone, she wrote in books all day, she would not speak to men. Sounds like my kind of woman.
I like that.
Yeah, that made me laugh. And Wynonna and Waverly talking about the weapon, and when Kevin's like, it's an arm, and I was really hoping for more of a flamethrower. A ride-on flamethrower with cup holders, and heated seats, and a hula girl on the dash.
I really like with, like, Jeremy and Robin's scene, like, so you're feeling okay now, right? Peachy, yeah. I mean, I did cough up a blueberry the other day, but that's just because my blender sucks.
Yeah, that made me...
And Robin's, oh, hey there, nice ombre, to Bobo. It's really funny.
And is that Doc? Hey, Doc. Don't say hi to Doc. He bit you. Maeve, where's the rest of the journal? I don't know. Cough it up. Actually, for Nicole's sake, maybe don't.
I love... Now, what good is a new body with a hole in the head? Yeah, I mean, you couldn't even walk around like that. Then your sunglasses would sit crooked.
And then, like, when he looks at Doc, he's just like,
I don't know.
And when he grabs Nicole and is like, oh God, please don't arrest me for this later.
I think one of my, like, it's in my favorite quotes, but it's also just one of my favorite scenes is when they run up on the gardener's household.
Yes.
And I actually did like you write it all down. Like I transcribed it a little bit. It's like, Mercedes, your face, my face. It's like totally better. Girl, you look fine as hell. And you look less pregnant. Oh, we're all doing so great. Except there's a demon following you. A radioactive one. Oh, come in. I love this moment with all my heart because the gal pal supportive love fest is so real. Everybody has had that moment minus the radioactive revenant, like with their girlfriends.
Yeah, it's delightful. And Mercedes, you called me beautiful, you touched me. And then Wynonna, above the belt though, right? Such a ginger fetish.
I love that. I should have written that down.
Mm-hmm.
My last one is, you're the light, Waverly, so I know it can't be true because even my destiny can't be this cruel. Sorry. Catherine, give us another one. We can't end on that note.
I feel like we should end on that note, man.
Okay.
I mean, I have more on my list, but punch in the heart.
Yeah, it was... Yeah.
I love them so much.
Me too.
Yeah, we're going to end on that one. I have more on my list, so if anybody wants to know what else I had on my list, just ask me. I will tell you. Or if you want a transcription of a chunk of the scenes in this episode at me, and maybe I'll share.
She's got it, you guys.
It's bad. It's a sickness. It's bad. I have such a problem. Alrighty. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
I do not.
Maybe want to rip out my heart with another Earp Sisters thing?
I only wanted to do that one time.
Alrighty. Well then, thank you to everyone for listening. And if you haven't read my recap yet and are interested in checking it out, I will have retweeted it from the Make Your Peace Twitter by the time this posts. Once again, I have just realized I have not yet retweeted it. That was my bad. So if you're interested, if you need a quick recap, they're pretty short. They're not that short, but you know, if you just need a quick refresher. So you can check it out on the Make Your Peace Twitter at 4YE_MYP podcast. You can check it out on the 4YE Twitter directly where it posts at 4_Y_E. And you can also go directly to the site at 4ye.co.uk. And for all of those, that is the number 4. So sorry if you get tired of listening to me say that, but it helps keep things easy. And then you can find me personally on Twitter at Meushaw. That's at CMEUSHAW. Also, a quick note, we do listen to the, we're For Your Excitement on YouTube too. I need to start mentioning that in my stuff because that's where we post. Feel free to DM us with theories or add us with theories or whatever. We do try to get back to you and we'll usually tell us which one you're talking to and we do tell the other person about it. So feel free. We enjoy hearing from people, especially with this amping up. So let us know. And then, Lara, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at RSMayfair.
Nice and simple, and I enjoy it. So, once again, thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week for talk of the last 2 episodes of the season.
Woo!
Yay!
Thanks, everybody.